Good afternoon everybody, my name's Andrew Smith and I'm a baker, but I'm also an engineer. And today I want to tell you about some incredible engineering about how we build things with a fun thing that we can do at home today called the Big Marshmallow Challenge. Now to start off with, I wanted to explain what an engineer does. You've probably heard of scientists. They're people who discover useful things for us to use. But engineers are really problem solvers, so we like to take what scientists find and make it useful for people. And one of those things is in building the things around us, from the house or the flat that you might be in, to your school, to the train lines and the roads around us. Engineers are responsible for all of that. So I want us to have a little go at being engineers today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain what the challenge is we're going to do today. But I don't want you to try it immediately. I'm going to tell you a few engineering tricks about how we can improve on our building skills. So what are we going to be doing today? Well, for the Big Marshmallow Challenge, you're going to need the following bits of equipment. So you're going to need some scissors, which you should get your adult to help you with. You're going to need a tape measure for measuring the height, which I'll come to in a minute. You're going to need a meter of string, so take a ball of string and measure out 1 meter. You're going to need 1 meter of masking tape, or you could use sellotape if that's what you had at home. You're going to need a timer, 20 pieces of spaghetti, which I've got here, which I've already counted out. And you're going to need 1 marshmallow. And what the challenge is you've got 18 minutes to build as tall a tower as possible using only these materials, and the marshmallow has to be on top. It has to be able to hold itself up so you can't hold it at the sides, and the tallest tower is what we're aiming for. So I'm going to give this a go and you can see how I get on. But I thought before then it would be good to maybe give you a few tips. What would an engineer do to make their tower better? So I want to give you 3 top tips. And the first one is that some shapes are stronger than others. And as an example, I've made a few little shapes here. So this is a square, just 4 bits of spaghetti with masking tape on each corner. And you can see that if I pinch the corners like that, it's got a little bit of wobble. You might not think that's too bad, but if I grab opposite corners, you can see actually, if I try to make a building out of this, it's going to be very, very wobbly indeed. So instead of squares, engineers often have a trick up their sleeves, and you'll see this in the electricity pylons on the road or on the roof of your house, and that's triangles. And engineers love triangles because if I push the edges now, even though it bends slightly, it is nowhere near as wobbly as the square one was. So triangles are key. And even better than big triangles are small triangles, because the smaller the triangle, the stronger it is. But if you've got smaller triangles, you're going to have to make a lot more of them to get high. So you've got to go somewhere in between. So that's my first tip. Triangles are amazing and we love those in engineering. Now the second thing you want to think about is how you build your tower. And there's 2 main ways to do this. The first one is bit by bit. And some apartments are now made like this, a bit like stacking Lego bricks. So in this example, say you made your triangles individually, and then you'd come and you'd build them together and you'd stick them together like that. That would be the bit by bit approach, where you make small bits and then you add them to your tower. And that's really good for testing as you go along. The second approach would be to build continuously. So you start putting spaghetti down on the table and you just build as you go, adding bit by bit. And this is how some big cooling towers that you see in power stations are made. And you want to think about which one you want to do, because bit by bit means you can test as you go. But if you go continuously, that's going to be a little bit quicker. So have a think about it and then try one out. So the first thing was triangles. The second thing was, how do you build? And the third thing is that weak materials can be made strong. So get creative with your reinforcement. Quite often when you look at bridges, it looks like they're made of one material. But if you look inside, often they have little bits, a bit like spaghetti, to keep them even stronger. So by combining two materials, we can make something that is stronger than them individually. One bit of spaghetti on its own is pretty wobbly, to be honest. But if I combine it with some of the other materials, I can make something that is a lot stronger. So that's something else that we do in engineering a lot. So those are my 3 tips. Some shapes are stronger than others. Use triangles. The second one is think about how you build. And the third is that you can get creative about reinforcement and how you combine these materials. So you're going to have 18 minutes to try this challenge. I'm going to clear down here and show you my attempt. This would be a really great point to pause the video and give the challenge a go yourself before you see how I get on. So I've started my timer here for 18 minutes. Hopefully you can do the same at home. And you can see here I'm starting with a simple triangle, as I talked about earlier. Now, one of the keys with this is saving your tape, as you'll find that quite quickly you start to get through that meter of tape. So I was potentially a little bit overeager here at the beginning. But you can see by using those triangles, I built a second one of the same type on the other side. And then the plan is to join those together to get me some initial height. Now you might notice I'm using quite a few bits of spaghetti here, so that's 6 bits of spaghetti used already. So I realise at this point that I'm going to run out. So a slight change of approach. Tried sticking that down, didn't work so much. Cut some string, again, changed my mind. It's okay to experiment, we might come back to that later on. And what I did instead was join these at the top. So it was like a bit of a trapeze, or like a swing set that you'd find in the garden. So at this point, almost 5 minutes have gone, and I've just got 2 triangles, so I need to hurry up a little bit. There we go. And I'm securing it at the base a little bit more. I've skipped forward a bit here. I'm about halfway through my time, and you can spot a few more triangles there where I've strengthened the bit that's closest to the camera. I've bundled 2 of those spaghetti strands together, and I'm just going to add a little bit of spaghetti there in another little triangle to support it at the side. A bit more spaghetti on top. And it feels pretty strong, but again I'm going to put another bit of spaghetti in as reinforcement. Remember that third piece of advice? And at this point I've got about 6.5 minutes left. Now what I failed to do at this point is actually check the marshmallow on top. So hopefully if you've tried this challenge at home, you might have found out that putting the marshmallow on at various times to test is really, really important. And that's what we do in engineering. We test as we go along so that when it comes to doing the final design, we know that it's okay. But that's a little bit tricky in 18 minutes. So you can see here, my time is getting quite close to being out. I put the marshmallow on, realise it's a bit too heavy, but I've still got a bit of string. Not enough spaghetti, but still plenty of string. So I'm using a bit of string that I'm pulling to then keep that long bit of spaghetti vertical. And I'm just tying that in a little knot at the bottom there. Hopefully you've done something completely different. That's part of the fun in this. And I've put that at the top, and I thought I could go a bit higher than that. So I tried to add a few extra bits on. It turns out that was too high, as you can see. I put it on, then by the time I put the marshmallow on top, it fell over. So I've gone for the smaller one. And you can see here, it is 61 centimeters in height. Not bad, but I went too big, so really you've only got to be 0. I hope you enjoyed that. Do let me know how you get on with your big marshmallow challenge, and hope you enjoyed this little insight into engineering. Have fun, everyone.